Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer, and today we are back with another speed build video of our city zoo. And in this episode, I want to build our very first restaurant using the new restaurant building and restaurant tables and seatings from the latest update. Like, as I said in the previous episode where we added the pronghorn antelope to our zoo, I wanted to create like this big restaurant building on the other side of the habitat so the guests simply have this nice viewing in a habitat while they are eating and drinking. Well, if they are outside, that is. I don't think you can see really much from the inside, but you get the idea. So for this habitat, I also went on Google to see if I could find some inspiration. There are like several zoo restaurants online, but obviously not all would fit at this straight path that I created in the previous episode. But in the end, I did find a picture of the Afrikambo Lodge from the Zoo Magdeburg in Germany, which actually had like the perfect shape to add here. So we start off with a raised path using the short stairs option and an 8-meter wide path, if I am correct. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about with like the short stairs, I get this question very often actually in my comments if I'm using it. Like, how do you get like short little stairs option? I would highly recommend you to watch my top 10 building tips and tricks video of Planet Zoo because I explain it all there so you can easily see how to use that and what I'm doing. But yeah, just to make sure like the seating area and the restaurant in general were like slightly higher than the main path, this was the best way of raising the path just a little tiny bit to make it all look better and to have it a little bit more raised comparing to like the viewing gallery path into the pronghorn antelope habitat. So first I used like the path grid option to go to the left side with like the 8-meter wide path. And after that, I used the 6-meter wide path to make an extension to the right side, which gives us like this slightly more interesting shape for the terrace instead of just keeping the same width on both sides. So where you see the path, there will be the outdoor terrace. And when I got all the path in place, I first added like this restaurant building itself. And this one will be aligned with the staircase. And then later on the left and the right side of the restaurant building, we will be creating some indoor seating areas as well. So we will be having an outdoor area like a terrace, and we will have an indoor area where guests can sit as well. So for the style of this restaurant, since we are in the North American region of our zoo at this point, I wanted to go for a more wooden style that would also match a bit with like the animal shelters and the other buildings that we have in this region. And just to make sure like it blends in nicely with the nature around it. And I think that just works better if you are using wooden materials in this case. So around the kitchen, I made sure that there are like these glass windows so the guests can see everything that is going on in the kitchen. And especially the kids, like I can totally see them as standing outside, looking inside when they are waiting for their food, just to see what is going on in the kitchen, like this extra experience, if you call it that way. And then it was time to create our first window frame, which will later be copied around the whole restaurant on the front. And for this frame, I did use like some logs and glass and wooden planks to create this idea of shutters. I actually don't think that is the right word for it. Like people use this for their windows to make sure like the sun is blocked basically. Not really sure what the name exactly is for it, but if you know what I mean, please do let me know in the comments down below. But now you will see me place them down on the outside, but they should normally be on the inside, just like you have curtains, for example. But I actually just like the look of it better on the outside with the contrast, to be honest. So that is why I placed them on the outside anyways. So the floor of the indoor area will be covered with like these opaque glass pieces or something. I don't know exactly how they are called, to be honest, but I do use them like a lot in many indoor areas, so you probably know exactly which one I mean. These are like these glossy towels which you can recolor, and I just absolutely love to use them for my indoor areas, thanks to Mike Sheets, who I think always uses them for his buildings. I think at least he was the first one using them in Koali Zoo or something like that. But yeah, I absolutely love them, to be honest. So to make the indoor walls a little bit more interesting, I use like these beams and plaster pieces to simply make the indoor walls a little bit more appealing. Like I was actually surprised that Frontier didn't add any pieces in the game that would match the interior, just a little bit of the hallway, like of that restaurant building. I mean, like that style is actually pretty nice. And normally, I mean, just think of like that new bakery shop, I think it was. Frontier also added like a few of these items separately, so you can also use them separately. But oh wow, it's not like a big deal obviously, but it would have been really nice to have a few like indoor covers or something like that looks like wallpaper, for example, which can easily be used like in the interiors of your buildings. I think that would be just super amazing. I think at Planet Coaster back then, we also got like some really nice panels with wallpaper for like the spooky pack, but they were also really nice to use for some other indoor areas as well, if I remember correctly. But alright, once the indoor wall and the glass frame were done, I duplicated both walls around the whole restaurant, which is just so much easier than if you would do every wall yourself by hand, to be honest. Now you will notice that I did not pay attention to an actual entrance to both indoor seating areas, to be honest. This is simply because it's not needed with this new restaurant building. Like your guests will walk through the hallway into like this black box, and then they will simply spawn on the connected seating areas around the restaurant buildings. So this does make everything a lot easier, to be honest, and I really didn't feel the need to pay attention to this extra doorway because it would have also made like the building a lot bigger, and I just really wanted to avoid that. I think the restaurant building is a perfect size right now, and making it bigger, I would just not really like that, to be honest. So when I had like the shape of the building, I started working on the awning on the front left side of the restaurant. Like I had my doubt if I really wanted to use glass for the roof of this awning, but I'm actually pretty happy that I did use the glass because this definitely gives like that extra daylight inside of the building, as this building is exactly on like the annoying shady side of the sun already. So we could definitely use this extra daylight and a tiny bit of sun peeking through it. I think that just looks really nice for the seating area if you look at the cinematic shots in a later stage. And on the right side of the building, there will also be a bit of like this overhang, aka awning above the terrace, but this is more like part of the roof that we are going to place down. So for the roof, I actually first wanted to use like these African logs again, like the same ones that we use for the shelters as well. But I actually really like the ceiling of these Arctic roofs a lot for like the inside of the restaurant. So I decided to keep it this way, as the Arctic roof itself looks pretty alright from the top as well. But I actually did have the idea to cover the roof with Asian planks instead of like the African log stand, but I simply forgot to do that in the end. But maybe I will go back to change that real quick, but as of right now I think it's totally fine, but maybe in the future I will change it to these Asian planks in the later. I'm not really sure yet. I'm just thinking out loud here. So on the right side of the terrace, I'll be using the 1 meter high walls of the wooden wall set, and on the left side of the restaurant, under the glassy awning, I'll be using like these climbing frame beams and the stone support pillars, I think they're called, for the edge of this terrace. And this actually makes a nice little contrast for both sides of the restaurant, in my opinion. And in the front of the restaurant, we will be creating like this planter with the same stone supports as the edge of the planter. And obviously as plants, we will be using like the same type of trees, plants, and flowers like we did in the habitats all around this North American region. So for the seating areas, I use like these normal round shaped tables. You have two different tables to pick from, like the more squared ones and the round table. So I used the round ones, including the chairs, and I did recolor them in a nice brown color to match like the whole building, of course. And I actually have a few too many seating areas, to be honest, as you can only select 20 tables for the restaurant, and I think we have 26, maybe 28 tables in total or something like that. But this is alright, I guess, because we can just pretend that not all the seatings will be full anyways in a later stage. This is totally fine, I guess. So on the tables on the outside, I used like these metal candlelight, which came in the Euro pack, as the normal candles would simply not stay on realistically on the outside. But on the inside, I did use the normal candles, as this just looks so nice in a restaurant. So yeah, I just really like this extra little touch of detail, I guess, on the tables. So when the building was finished, I wanted to add a sign saying zoo restaurant or something like that. But as you can tell from this Speedbuilt video, this was way too big to fit on the restaurant. So later I decided to just change it to zoo diner, which I'm actually not sure of if this is the correct way of saying this. And I also just pretend it's French saying zoo dîner or something like that, even though I really don't know if that would be right anyways. But do let me know in the comments down below. I don't know why, but there are restaurants that say diner, right? Or is it dining then? I really am not sure. Do let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, so when the sign was in place, it was time to decorate the area around the restaurant to make it all blend in nicely with the surroundings. And this really was the final touch the building needed, to be honest, to make it all blend in nicely into the area. So I simply just used some rocks on the sides, and the rest is mostly just a taiga and tundra biome trees and bushes matching with the rest of this region in this zoo. And of course the purple alpine flowers that look so beautiful in this area, and I just absolutely love them. So yeah, actually pretty happy with how our very first restaurant building with a new restaurant feature, it has turned out. Like, I obviously would love to know what you all think of this restaurant as well. Do let me know in the comments down below, and leave a like in the video if you guys enjoyed, and if you find this restaurant building inspiring for your own zoos. Oh yeah, and obviously you can also download this from the workshop for your own zoos. Hooray! So I will make sure to put the link in the description of this video. And of course, do not forget to leave a thumbs up at the workshop item if you will be using this for your own zoos as well. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And yeah, I just really do hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!